So today I have with me the very beautiful Hanna Kinsella. And we are going to talk about your journey to becoming an entrepreneur. Let's just strip it right back. Presumably you went to, what do you call it? Is it
dental school?
Dental school,
yeah,
okay.
That's right.
Was it as a little girl that you wanted to be a dentist? How did that come about?
Always at school, I was never the brightest. So, you know, these questions always got asked, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I had no idea, like, who knows? So I did loads of work experience. I did work experience with a really cool dentist, if they exist. He was transforming people's smiles. He was a cosmetic dentist. And I never forget, I was in surgery with him, just watching him, and he had this lady in, and he'd finished this smile makeover, and she was just in bits, crying, looking in the mirror, like, you've changed my life. Yeah. And I never forget that feeling of like watching this happen. I was like, this is amazing. Andy's driving a Porsche. I was like, this is the job I need. So you needed 3 A's, you needed chemistry, biology. So I just made that decision, and it was so hard because I was never naturally good at those subjects, but I was determined. Literally studied and studied and studied and studied and hit my head against a brick wall until finally I managed to scrape the grades and get into dental school. Dental school wasn't easy for me. I failed my first year because I was out partying too much. Got to freshers, I was like, woo! But then resat my exams in the summer, and thankfully, learned my lesson. Made a promise to myself, right, Hannah, you've got to get your shit together. I met a lot of amazing people. The nice thing about those kind of vocational degrees is that you come out with a job.
There are young people listening. What's really interesting about what you've just said, what's resonated with me, is the fact that you struggled. I think if you are a child that struggles academically, and actually I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and it was harder not having that further education, but what's really interesting is that you saw something that you were heading towards, like, I want to do that. And you made it happen, which is extraordinary, really.
I think that's one thing, I guess, from a young age, I always had the drive. There was just this undeniable drive to get to what I wanted. When you're young, you don't want to revise. Let's be honest, you don't want to work. School's boring, like no one wants. But I'm actually now, when I look back, I'm so happy that I pushed through it. But I think if you've got that determination, and you've got that goal, you've got the goal. I was like, I don't care, I'm revising, I'm doing it. My friends were all out partying, and I was like, ugh.
And was it everything you wanted it to be when you first became a dentist? Do you remember that feeling?
I remember the first time I was in my surgery for the first, it's weird, you know, like you've come out of uni, you've got like, you know, all your equipment and everything, and then they're calling the first patient in, and you're thinking, oh my God, what do I do? And you've been training for 5 years, but you get this imposter syndrome. I loved it, and I loved the people side of it. Like I loved chatting to people. My patients became my friends. It was lovely, and it was nice. And the nice thing with dentistry as well is, I guess, you're seeing people more regularly. Really do build a relationship with your patients. Very quickly, I just felt I wanted to own my own business.
Did you feel like it was something that was always there with you?
Yeah.
That you didn't want to work for somebody else, you wanted to work for yourself?
And it was niggling. I did further training a year over at King's College Hospital, which was interesting. Lots of different aspects of dentistry. And I did a part-time master's. So hard. It was horrible. My thought process was that if I want to get into private practice, I've got to stand out. Then landed a job at Kiln Lane dental practice as an associate. So I was a dentist there. You know, I went for an interview. Obviously, you know, loved the staff. I loved the practice manager. I got on so well with the team. The guy who owned it, he was a retired dentist. He was in his 70s and wanted to sell the practice. I approached him and I said, I want to buy your practice. Oh, wow. Which was crazy because I was still relatively young.
Really brave.
Negotiations with the practice started when I was 27. I didn't have the money, obviously, because I had to buy the practice. So I went to the bank. I remember walking in and all these guys are sat there, and I was like, oh, I want to borrow.
Asking for your business plan.
Yeah, exactly. I went to my dad and I said, Dad, listen, I need a big loan. I'm going to have to put yours and Mum's house on it. And my dad was just like, are you sure about this? I was like, yeah. It wasn't busy. Like we only had 3 surgeries in there. 2 other part-time dentists that were really gappy. So it was a gamble.
You had plans for it.
Oh, in my head, Rebecca, honestly. And you'll probably relate to this. I'd redecorated it in my head.
You could think about what you could do there.
I'd pulled out surgeries. I'd completely renovated it. I just had a vision for it, I guess.
Obviously, a lot of people will know you from TV.
Yes.
From reality TV. I mean, that's how our journey started. That's how I knew you. So you went into Housewives of Cheshire, being on a reality programme, giving you that amazing platform that it gave you. Then that will take us to your next step and what you're doing now as an entrepreneur. What's really nice about having these conversations is people are going to watch them and be like, oh, but it's not all easy. It's not all plain sailing. We know it's not. There's going to be downsides to being on the TV, as well as there's going to be the highs and the lows. You were one of the younger ladies on it, and you had a family while you were on the show.
So I joined the Housewives when I turned 30. I spent 5.5, 6 years of my life on the show, and you're right, I got married on the show, I had my kids on the show, I literally did all of those big milestone moments on TV, which is crazy. I got introduced to the producers through Martin. They'd asked Martin to go on, my husband. They wanted him to do some treatment on one of the current cast members. I remember saying to him, I was like, do it. I was like, it's a great marketing thing. He did it. And off the back of honestly being on the show for, I think the scene he was in was like literally 5 minutes. He got like over 100 bookings of this treatment. Wow, look at the power of this show. One thing led to another. Production got wind that he was getting engaged to me. Before I know it, I had like them in my apartment with all the telly cameras. I'd never done anything like this. Lights, cameras, I was literally like, to be totally honest, I thought nothing of it. It was about 8 months after. I was in surgery, I was doing a fill-in, and my practice manager came up and she went, someone's here from a production company. And she came in and she went, they've seen your casting tape. We'd really like you to be a full-time cast member.
Do you mind me asking, like, what made you do it, in all honesty? What were you thinking? What was your mindset behind it?
It sent my brain into, like, overdrive. I literally had sleepless nights thinking, I'm a dentist, what if I get portrayed badly? What if this doesn't look good for the patients? This could ruin my career, this could make my career. My parents were really against it. A lot of my friends and family were against it. This is an opportunity that only comes round once in your life. If I don't do it, I might regret it.
A lot of people I've noticed have said to me, I don't have any regrets. It's a journey, isn't it? And you learn things from doing things.
After what happened with Martin and the treatments and stuff, I was like, this is an amazing opportunity to, promote the practice that I just bought. And also, like you touched on, a platform, because I had plans in my mind about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And it was a fantastic platform in order for me to fulfill those dreams. I went on there very much aware that I wanted to get certain things out of the show. What a hard arena that was. I underestimated how hard it was going to be.
You were on it a long time.
A long time. I nearly left quite a few times. I think the first 2 years were really tough. I got involved in this storyline between Dawn and Tanya and people that had been on the show for a long time and really knew what they were doing, and I was kind of a little bit naive. I went in and I thought, these girls are my best friends. Actually ended up being, really working out well for me. I became really good friends with the girls.
So you then built up obviously this great platform across your social media. People knew who you were. What's great about that is that when somebody does know you and recognises you, you're going to stand out a little bit more when you do decide to perhaps do something like open another business. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. You have your practice. What happened in terms of your journey opening up Icy Bear? Because we all know that it was launched on the show.
It was, yeah. Obviously, as a cosmetic dentist and working in practice and seeing thousands of patients, I always had people come to me, after they'd had bonding or they'd had Invisalign or they'd had veneers, Hanna, what products do I use? What's the best stuff to use at home? Like, how do I maintain it? And I was kind of like, Colgate? Like, for me, I really felt like there was a gap in the market for a luxury oral care brand that, was professionally backed, that did have great ingredients in it that actually work. I think I always had this in the back of my mind that there is really space for a product line here. I never forget, like, it was literally around my mum and dad's kitchen table, and I was thinking, right, what am I going to call this? We were brainstorming, like polar bear, snow, iceberg, like anything that was like white and, those kind of connotations. And yeah, eventually we were like, bear, polar bear, icy bear, that's kind of got a ring to it. It started with one product. I knew nothing about e-commerce. I found a guy through one of our contacts that made websites. We made the worst website you've ever seen. I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, I'm ashamed to be associated to that. We wanted it to have a USB, so we put diamond dust in it, which we use in dental practice actually as an ingredient, but I thought I could really use that with the glam of housewives, really use that as kind of like a selling point. We formulated this toothpaste to and from the manufacturers, honestly, about 20 odd times to get it right. Branded it up, went to the show and said, listen, I really want to launch this toothpaste. Can I please launch this? And, the producers were like, yeah, why not? We're following your journey. We launched it on the show. It was just before COVID. In fact, it was just going into COVID. The launch party on the show, we're all stood like 3 meters apart from each other. Yeah. It went crazy. Month 1, we did 100 grand. On a $17.99 toothpaste.
That was amazing.
It went wild. I never forget the shot, the ping on my phone, bing, 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 people buying it. The first 6 months were crazy because of the hype of the show, and I think COVID, it was the right time. I just went crazy. I got a fancy office in Altrincham. I was spending thousands on shoots, getting photographers from there, everywhere, and the sales dried up. It got to the end of year 1, I'd spent everything. We had no idea about digital marketing, there was no email marketing, there was no structure really. We weren't able to pay for the office, that had to go. It was like crash landing into, this is not gonna last. So I went to the University of YouTube and learnt so much. Started to learn about Klaviyo, email marketing, digital marketing, lifetime value, cost per acquisition, all this foreign language. Year 1 was great, year 2 not great, year 3 we were clawing back, which leads me on nicely to the moment where I thought, it's either the show or Icy Bear. I'm
guessing being on the show consumes you a lot as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It dictates a lot about what you do.
Yeah.
To step away from that, okay, I'm not going to be in the public eye so much. Are people going to still connect with me? Yeah. It's a big decision to make. And actually what's really interesting is I love your honesty as well, because this is the thing, it's not easy setting up a business.
No, it's not.
And let's face it, we all learn by the hard way usually. I've done it myself. You make mistakes and you think, okay, but it's the lessons that you learn.
Yeah.
And it either makes or breaks you.
The decision to leave the show was one of the hardest decisions that I've ever made. I was on there for 6 years. I was in such a great position in terms of being an established cast member. And I remember the first 2 months after I'd said that was that, watching them on Instagram, watching them all together, I was like, oh. And it was weird not being followed around by cameras anymore. Yeah. You almost felt a bit like, right, that's it now, you're used to the attention. That transition was insane, but I think it was fundamentally the single most important decision for the growth of my business.
Yeah,
exactly. My marriage was suffering, my kids, they needed me. I was filming, I was trying to run this business, and it got to a point where I was like,
and I guess it must have entered your head that this isn't going to be forever on this TV show.
Yeah.
One day it's going to come to an end.
Yeah.
And then what are you left with?
For anyone that's watching this and that wants to start a business and, is thinking about those kind of things, I think my biggest advice would be to really learn yourself. Some people may look at my brand and think, oh, well, she was on the show and she had this. Yeah, that was an amazing, kickstart, but it's not the reason that it's gone on to be successful. I was getting so frustrated so many times. I'd sit on calls with agencies, paid ads, I'm spending this much on Facebook, this much on TikTok, what's the return? And I didn't understand what they were telling me. I work on Icy Bear 24/7. You're the same, Rebecca.
I don't think a lot of people realise that when you are working for yourself, it's very rewarding in lots of ways. Yeah. It is a lot of hard work.
It's a lot,
There's a lot of pressure on yourself as well to succeed. Once you have got staff and you're paying staff.
Oh,
and
that's hard as well, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
There's that responsibility of your overheads and all of those things. I would say to anybody, follow your dreams, go for it, but don't expect it to come
be
to
easy,
you,
and
because
to be
it's
easy.
not an easy process.
And sometimes on social media and things like that, it's people are seeing the end result. They're seeing, you know, you as successful, and you've got your handbags, and you've got this, and they think, oh, that's, but you don't. It's like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
You don't see what's underneath.
No.
I often say I'm literally like a swan, you know, like on the top, I
Yeah,
look
and
dead cool, and
underneath,
I'm like, at the end of the day, you know, if you've got a dream, you've got a vision, you've got a goal, then if you put the hard work in, you get there.
Absolutely. I have to talk about the products because I use them myself. Not only do I use them, they get used now by the whole household. The girls here at Lux have also ordered them and love them. The strips are amazing. They do what they say they're going to do. I've got to mention, I came to you, I'd wanted my teeth doing for such a long time. It was just one of those things I kept putting off and putting off and putting off. I've come to the end of my journey with my Invisalign.
Look how nice they look.
And I have to say, everyone at Kilnane is just lovely.
Yeah.
And the whole experience has been honestly so lovely, much better than I thought it would be. The amount of comments I get about my teeth being so white, honestly, all the time, people are like, your teeth are so white. The confidence that it's given me.
Makes me so happy to hear that, and it goes back to exactly what I was saying at the beginning with that work
very
experience.
Work
experience.
When
I went there, and I was like,
I know that feeling.
Yeah, that woman, I never forget her. I can only see however many people. I've only got 2 pairs of hands, but with these products, I can reach thousands of people.
Yeah. So, where do you see yourself and Icy Bear in 5 years from now?
Wow. I want Icy Bear to be a huge global brand. That is my goal and that is my vision. I genuinely believe we've got, you know, the brand and the story and the why to get us there. I really want to delve into the kids side of things. So our Icy Bear Cubs, we've got some really exciting, innovative products to help parents get their kids to brush their teeth. A lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do.
My last question, would you do it all again?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
You would?
Yes, I honestly, like you guests have said before, like I don't have any regrets. Don't get me wrong, some of it has been hard, hard. And there are times where I look back and I think, I don't know how I got through that. But would I change it? No, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sat here with you right now if I hadn't have gone on that journey. So that's my story.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's been so interesting. I've loved chatting with you.
Oh, thank you for having me.